We're gonna give you the best upper body exercises for weightlifting, and we're gonna start right now. First exercise, we're gonna use an old school movement, the Kelo shrug. Now, you can do this on a T-bar row. You could do this with a bent over position with just a barbell. You could also do this on an incline bench with dumbbells. So I wanna start here. Now I wanna lengthen here, and I wanna think about lengthening my lats, my traps, my rhomboid, okay? Here, up, boom, 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 boom. And I'm gonna do 17 reps here, okay? Now, boom. Try to keep the elbows almost at full extension. It's really, really hard because you want to have that tendency to use elbow flexion, to use those swole biceps. Now, once we hit 17, then we're going here. So, use a Kelo shrug, okay? Here, then you can get into that T-bar row or a bent over row or a dumbbell bent over row or a dumbbell chest row or a dumbbell, one arm row in that chest supported position. The whole goal is to lengthen the rhomboids a bit, okay, and the lats, strengthen that upper back. When we're thinking about upper body training for weightlifting, we've got to think about two things. Can we prevent an injury? Can we improve performance? In this case, this is going to help our upper back get more swole, which in turn will help with that stability. Now the next exercise that I'm going to show you is going to be with a seated row. And you could do this on any traditional machine, okay? In the gym, let's say you go to Gold's Gym, let's say you go to Lifetime Fitness, whatever. Get on a seated row machine. You can either use ropes on that seated row machine, or if you have handles like this, you can use this. And what I want to see is an actual lean back, okay? Lean back, lean back. So we're going to think about external rotation through our traps here, through our rhomboids and through our delts here. And when we just talked about the two aspects, we talked about performance and injury prevention. In this case, we're looking at both. We can think about performance in rotating and punching when we're looking at the snatch, right? And we can also think about stability in that upper back. If we have stability in the upper back, that's gonna help us in that overhead position. So I'm gonna get here, I'm gonna go back, okay? And I can use a little bit of a cheat, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. And you can see here, I'm trying to rotate those hands back. Boom, 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 okay? So you can get a really good pump in that upper back, create that upper back shelf. And one of the things that I think about when I'm programming accessories, I'm inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength. Where we program accessories in our weightlifting program is typically gonna be around 4A, 4B. And those accessories are gonna be based around your trunk, your back, your hamstrings to a point, and then that upper body. There's gonna be two specific days that we use upper body movements as accessories to develop that hypertrophy, which will lead to shoulder stability, upper body stability, and ultimately better performance. Head over to peakstrength.app and click on Olympic Weightlifting if you want to get on that program today. Now, let's get to the next upper body exercise. Okay, the next two exercises. So we gave you 2 rows. Technically, we gave you 3 rows, right? And if we think about performance, one thing that I really like is stability in the upper body. And that means triceps, that means pecs. So if we're thinking about doing something like dips, we've all seen the videos of the Chinese weightlifting team just smashing heavy, heavy dips and even handstand push-ups. So there's an extra one. Now, one of the things that we can do to try and improve the stability, if you've done a lot of dips and you can do weighted dips, let's say you're a male lifter, you're an 81 and you can do dips with like 100 pounds on your waist, on the belt for a set of 5. One thing you can do to even improve that stability is do a ring dip. So you can get set here, and what I like about ring dips is that if you do this under a controlled situation, we don't need to do this like they did in the CrossFit Games where everybody blew out their pecs. We need to do this where we have a lot of control in our pecs and our upper back. And that's one thing too, is that if we're recruiting well in the upper back, that creates that shelf. And then we have a good extension power out of our elbows and out of our shoulders. Okay, so we're gonna be here, up, come down, nice and controlled, up, nice and controlled, up, nice and controlled, up. One more, boom. Okay, so you can do like 4 or 5 sets of 5 to 7 there just for that stability factor. Try to minimize the shaking as much as you can. Now, the last movement that I really like to do is going to be in an overhead position. Recent research has shown us that if you're training the triceps in an overhead position, your body is naturally going to recruit more high threshold motor units, and in turn, your triceps will get stronger, but we need to do this in a very lengthened position. So when we're thinking about tricep-based training or upper body-based training, and in this case, the tricep, this is gonna help with that stability overhead. So if we think about rotating, okay, thinking about that seated row that we showed you earlier, and then punch here, that's a lot of the triceps. And then if we think about, even if we're doing a jerk, okay, locking out and staying stable here, a lot of the triceps will contribute. It's only gonna be about 15 to 20%, but that could be a big difference between hitting a PR and not hitting that PR. So, simple movement here. And this is something you could do with a dumbbell, you could do this with a barbell as well. Get into a set position here, try to keep neutral right here, up, and try and lock that out. Try and go like a controlled eccentric here, lengthen it, lengthen it, lengthen it, hold this position, back up. And the interesting part too is that with tighter individuals, they're gonna feel a little bit of like thoracic mobility work when they're holding this position. The other big aspect, there we go. The other big aspect is that a lot of younger lifters, they get really shaky in that position. When we're in this position overhead, if I'm squeezing in that hollow position here, and then I use that to form that stability overhead, that's gonna transfer really well. That's also why we're doing the dips too. The dips are gonna be in that hollow position. You're using your trunk. Now, when we have a belt on, we can hold that position pushing into the belt. So all these exercises are really good for weightlifting. They're excellent upper body movements to improve your performance. If you guys need help with your training, head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. Click on Olympic Weightlifting to get into that program today. Because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.